What's up everybody on YouTube? AJ Russ back to discuss another video. And today, as you can see by the title of this video, we're going to be talking about NFL free agency, some of the biggest moves that were made, and also just talking about the NFL in general, how some of these early signings and potential signings will shape up the league and for the 2024 season. But with that being said, before I dive deep into the video and into free agency, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications, hit the like button on this video. You know we post about here sports, lifestyle, and pop culture, videos about Marvel, DC, all sorts of things like that, cooking videos and stuff like that. So with that being said, let's talk about NFL free agency. So before I dive deep into the biggest splashes that were made in free agency, I want to talk about some sneaky good fits and some obvious fits that we saw coming. First, we can start off in Pittsburgh. Of course, Russell Wilson going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I am intrigued with that situation for sure. I know how I feel about the Denver situation, how Sean Payton handled it. I hated it. How he did Russell Wilson, it was wrong. He obviously didn't play good in 2022. We all know that the Broncos were a cluster, you know what. So it was bad there, but when Payton walked into the door before the 2023 season, you can just tell he had some type of hatred, animosity, and he really just wanted a reason to get rid of Russell Wilson. And the Denver front office, they are wrong for what they did. Understand that you signed that player to a contract and you basically forced him to either change the contract or get benched. Yeah, I would have left too. That's messed up. So I don't like how they did him. Russell Wilson, he had a better year last year in 2023, only throwing 8 interceptions, I believe, passing for 26 or 24 touchdowns, one of the two. So I'm glad that he's getting a fresh start in Pittsburgh. They're not going to do wrong by him. Obviously, Arthur Smith, former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons and now offensive coordinator there, will probably be able to implement a good offense because he used to be the Titans OC back when Ryan Tannehill emerged as a solid quarterback for the Titans. So that could be really good. And that's going to bring in some competition for Kenny Pickett. I still think that there could be some hope for him, but he's got to come with it. I mean, he had 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in 2023. Bro, that is disgusting. Like, come on now. So I'm definitely happy for the Steelers and for Russell Wilson. Their team is going to be better offensively. At least they should be. Have Najee Harris still back there. They have George Pickens. Obviously, they traded Deontay Johnson to the Carolina Panthers, but they'll probably be able to draft another wide receiver in the 2024 draft, so they can reinforce that. They also got Patrick Queen on the defensive side, so that'll be a good fit for them. Also, I don't know what's with all these players signing in the division. I mean, I understand if you get your bag, for sure, get it, but that's just different. But I do like Russell Wilson fit the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wouldn't have mind them trying to get Justin Fields either. That's an interesting conversation that we can talk about next, because where is he gonna go? If I had to grade them, I would probably say a B, B+. They've had a solid free agency, I would say, so far. Maybe a B-. It just depends, but definitely a B, something like that. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this is still a pending move, and I'm going to be a little annoyed if it happens after I post this video or during the recording, or during editing, I should say. But Justin Fields, man, I do not like all of this conversation talking about that, oh, he'll be a good backup and being able to all that. Bro, he's not a backup. I know he didn't play good at the start of the season. He had that injury. And then when he came back in the second half of the season, bro, he played good football. And a lot of those Bears fans, they wanted Justin Fields to stay. Now, it does look evident and most likely that the Bears will draft Caleb Williams with the first pick. We'll see what happens there. But the longer they wait, the less capital they're going to get for him. So I think a team that would be perfect for him, honestly, would be the Las Vegas Raiders. Although they did just sign Gardner Minshew, so that's interesting there. You can look at teams that need quarterbacks, maybe like a Denver, who I talked about before, but honestly, they might draft JJ McCarthy. That's what it seems like they could do, but I don't know what they're going to do. But honestly, I don't care. I really lost a ton of respect for Sean Payton, because that's just so messed up. But anyways, for Justin Fields, man, he is a starter in Atlanta. That would have looked nice too. They obviously signed Kirk Cousins, which we'll talk about in a second. But I just feel like to talk about him being a backup quarterback, I mean, it's atrocious to me. He is still a really talented and really athletic and dynamic quarterback. He just needs some structure around him, because in Chicago, you can make the argument that that's one of the most poorly structured franchises in professional sports. They've never had really a competent quarterback. So yeah, I don't like how Justin Fields is being talked about, but I do believe that he'll end up in a good situation, hopefully for his sake. Now, like I talked about a second ago, Kirk Cousins to ATL. Honestly, I love it. Now, he got a lot of money, and he is coming off an Achilles injury, so it'll be intriguing to see how he comes back from that. I think he'll be all right because his game never really relied on athleticism. He's a pocket passer. And honestly, I saw him shred teams last year when he was healthy too. Kirk, I really like how he plays, and maybe there's some bias towards him because he is a man of God. I saw the Netflix quarterback series. I mean, it was beautiful just to see his preparation for the game and just his attention to detail. I respect that for sure. In Atlanta, they'll definitely be a huge threat to Tampa Bay in terms of winning the NFC South. They have weapons like Bijan Robinson. They have Kyle Pitts. They have Drake London. Getting better defensively as well. I mean, I think that the Atlanta Falcons, they could really improve next year. And we're going to see that come to full fruition for sure. Kirk Cousins is 35. I believe that he will be 36 at the start of the 24 season. I could be wrong, but I think he was born in 1988, so he'll be 36 at some point this year. He is getting up there, but we are seeing these quarterbacks constantly play deep into their career at a high level. I'm not really too concerned about that with Kirk Cousins. I think that the Falcons, they will be better. They have a chance chance to do well in the NFC South. We'll see how they shake up in the NFC in general, but that's a good move for them. And then talking about the other NFC South team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were able to re-sign Mike Evans on a 2-year, $52 million deal. Huge signing for sure, keeping him probably, in my opinion, the greatest wide receiver to ever play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's had 1,000-yard receiving season every year of his career. He's just great, man, and he's going to continue to play at a high level. And then also keeping Baker Mayfield, I love their dynamic. Honestly, it low-key reminds me of the dynamic that Mike Evans had with Johnny Manziel back at Texas A&M, but Baker Mayfield actually studies film, but that's no disrespect to Johnny Manziel. He just had his priorities in different ways, but I love their dynamic. Tampa Bay, they're gonna have a chance to repeat as division champions. We'll see, because like I said, Atlanta, they're gonna be good. Really don't have any expectations for the Saints, and definitely not for the Panthers, but I do hope that Bryce Young improves this season. Dave Canales, who's not a head coach for the Panthers, was offensive coordinator this past season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so hopefully he'll be able to implement a great system for Bryce Young so he can flourish for that team. And like I said a second ago, they got Deontay Johnson now, so hopefully they'll at least be a little bit more respectful, because I think they won 2 games. Ugh. Yeah, that's gross, man. Maybe they can win like 5 to 6. I mean, that's an improvement nevertheless. But circling back to the Buccaneers, they don't have Shaquille Barrett anymore. I believe he signed with the Dolphins. That's a good move for them. But Tampa Bay, they'll be good. I don't know if I take them as serious as like championship contenders, but definitely playoff contenders. Some more signings that I really liked that we'll get through real quick. Jacoby Brissett going back to the team that drafted him in the New England Patriots. That's a really solid move, I would say. He's one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league, easily. And depending on if they draft quarterback in that position, he'll be able to be a bridge quarterback for them, for the potential rookie to learn under, or if they draft like a Marvin Harrison Jr., that'll be huge for him as well. Another player, Jameis Winston, signed to be a backup for the Cleveland Browns. That's good insurance just in case Deshaun Watson gets injured, because he's had his share of injury woes these past couple of seasons, and he hasn't looked the same as he did in Houston in 2020. Hopefully he can get back to that level, but that's good insurance for the Browns just in case, especially with them losing Joe Flacco. Speaking of Flacco, he signed with the Indianapolis Colts, and that's good insurance for them as well. Anthony Richardson was out for the season. He's going to be back in his second year. A lot of potential and promise with him, but just in case something happens to him, because he is a very athletic quarterback, they'll have Joe Flacco to be able to back up him just in case something were to happen. Also, Sam Darnold signed with the Minnesota Vikings since Kirk Cousins left, signed there on a 1-year, $10 million deal. He'll be a good bridge quarterback for them, but I believe they should try to draft a quarterback or try to trade up in the first round if they can. If you have to trade a first round pick, so be it, because you want to keep Justin Jefferson. Because if he doesn't have a guy with him that's throwing him the ball at a high level, why would he want to stay in Minnesota? He wants to go to a contender with a great quarterback, and I'm sure he's pissed about Kirk Cousins leaving, but it is understandable. But yeah, the Vikings, they need to really go all in on trying to trade up in the draft to get their young franchise quarterback. But Sam Darnold, he is a good bridge quarterback. Also, Mason Rudolph signing with the Titans. He'll be a good backup, I guess, for Will Levis. Ryan Tannehill, he's still unsigned. I don't even know where he'll fit at, honestly, at the top of my head. I can't really think. And if he signs to a team by the time this is posted, then so be it, but not really too concerned about that. Let's talk about the running back market though. So these running backs, they really got off the market as fast as some Nike sneaker drops. Like, they just went off quickly on Monday. And in particular, we can just go on and get into a Tony Pollard. I believe he was the first running back to sign. He signed a 3-year, $24 million deal with the Tennessee Titans, leaving the Dallas Cowboys, going back to his home state of Tennessee. Respectable move for him for sure. Good for Tony Pollard. Didn't have the greatest year in 2023, coming off of that injury that he suffered in the 2022 playoffs, but he had a 1,000-yard rushing season, so he's still a really good running back, and I believe that he'll be nice for Tennessee. Josh Jacobs going to the Packers. I think that's an intriguing fit for sure. They traded Aaron Jones, I believe, to the Vikings. I think it was a trade. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. And also AJ Dillon is a free agent, so they're probably not going to retain him. So I do think that Josh Jacobs going to Green Bay is a good move. Maybe not city-wise, because I mean, living in Vegas, living in Green Bay, I mean Vegas for sure, but fit-wise, Green Bay, they absolutely destroyed the Cowboys in the first round, and then in the second round, they really went toe-to-toe with the 49ers, so they're going to continue to get better. If I had to pick a team to win the NFC North, I think it will be the Packers, because Jordan Love, he's continuing to get better. I love what they're doing there with Christian Watson and all the pieces that they have. Romeo Doubs, I like how they're playing too, so that was a good move for them. Also signed Xavier McKinney as well. I mean, they're cooking. I like what they're doing in Green Bay. But anyways, for the rest of the running backs, DeAndre Swift signed with the Bears. The Bears, low-key, they're doing good work too, defensively as well. Eberflus, the head coach, defensive-minded coach. Watch out for them. I'm not saying that they're going to be contenders or anything like that, but don't be surprised if they're a potential wild card, because the Bears, they're making moves, and regardless if they have Caleb Williams or if they shot the world and keep Justin Fields, they could be a wild card team, but I digress on that. Austin Eckler going to the Commanders. I mean, cool for the Commanders. They spend a lot of money too. We'll see if that benefits them or backfires. Then also Zach Moss signing with the Cincinnati Bengals after the Bengals traded Joe Mixon to the Texans. I think that's going to be a really good move and good fit for Joe Mixon on the Texans as well. Going in there with CJ Stroud. The team is going to be nice. I saw Dan Orlovsky say something that really I agreed with. Basically saying that the 2024 Texans could be similar to the 2021 Cincinnati Bengals that made that Super Bowl run. We'll see how the AFC shapes up, but that's low-key a good comparison. But continuing, easily the two biggest signing of free agency, not just on the running back market, but in general, is Saquon Barkley going to the Philadelphia Eagles and then Derrick Henry going to the Baltimore Ravens. So Saquon Barkley, he signed a contract with the Philadelphia Eagles, the Giants' rival, on a 3-year, $37 million deal. Crazy, but it happened. I mean, he did go to Penn State, so geographically, he has roots in Pennsylvania, so that's good for him and him getting his money. What Tiki Barber said, that was so stupid, and even if he was joking, bro, come on now, debt to him, that's ridiculous. But we're not talking about that negativity because that's a ridiculous thing to say. But Saquon Barkley, man, being in Philadelphia, that's going to be a huge dynamic. Now, they have to address some things. Obviously, Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox retire respectfully. Shout out to those two future Hall of Famers. They have a good thing going right now, and also defensively, they got CJ Gardner-Johnson back on a 3-year, $33 million deal. That's pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. One of my favorite teams are in the division. My favorite team is in the NFC East. I'm not saying who, you can infer whoever, but I'm not gonna lie, I am a little nervous about them because they are making some moves, and the Eagles, they're trying to get back to that 2022 form when they made the Super Bowl. It's just really down to the offense. Kellen Moore, he is a solid offensive coordinator. I would say the Chargers there are a mess last year, so you really can't judge him for what happened in 2023, but we'll see how they do there. And they have Vic Fangio as a new defensive coordinator in Philadelphia. That's really good for them as well, for that defense that really just fell apart, and the team really did as well at the end of last season. But the Eagles, I like what they're doing. And Saquon, he's gonna be able to be great with Jalen Hurts, I feel like, as long as he can stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. But having pieces like him, Goddard, Devontae Smith, and obviously AJ Brown, they have the potential to reinforce everything and try to get back into that 2022 bag that the Eagles had. And then for the Ravens, man, Derrick King Henry, yeah, that's gonna be nice. I know he's 30 years old, but bro, he is still tough. He's a 6'2", 250, 260 running back. Bro, that's what we call Big Tonka. I don't know if y'all listen to Yeet, but that's for sure Big Tonka work because, bro, when he is coming downhill, you cannot stop him. I think he has over 11 career rushing touchdowns, over 80 yards. I mean, come on. Oh my gosh, like 80-yard runs. I mean, man, that is insane. So them having him with Lamar Jackson, that's another dynamic there that's going to be interesting. Really just comes down to them playing their game because they really strayed away from the running game against the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, so they need to stick to that identity. It's going to be really scary because now teams are going to have to spy Lamar Jackson and also have to worry about Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers in his second year. That's going to be good. Now you have Isaiah Likely, who's a great weapon at the tight end position alongside Mark Andrews now. That's going to be really good. I believe the Ravens released Odell Beckham Jr. I understand that because he wasn't really effective. Hate to say it like this, but he's not the same character. Hate to say this, but he's not the same player that he once was. But I think that the Ravens, they definitely got better from this. I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to have to perform when it matters most. Losing Patrick Queen, that'll hurt a little bit, but I still believe they have a great defense. They still have Roquan Smith. They still have Justin Mudubike. I know I said his name wrong, but he's one of the best defensive tackles in the league. They still have Kyle Hamilton, who's a dog, going into his 3rd season. He's already been a Pro Bowler and All-Pro. So just watch out for the Ravens again. We all know that the AFC belongs to the Chiefs right now, but Derrick Henry being in Baltimore, that's going to be nice. Also, the Dallas Cowboys, who didn't make any moves for the first day of free agency, technically on Monday. They were the only team out of all 32 teams not to make a move. They finally made a roster move at the recording of this video. We'll see what happens after I post this video and things of that nature. But they signed linebacker Eric Kendricks to a 1-year deal to be a part of the Dallas Cowboys. He is a former Minnesota Vikings player. So he was with Mike Zimmer when he was in Minnesota. Mike Zimmer now being a defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. That's a good fit. They definitely need some interior help and linebacker help. So I believe that helps them. Keep an eye out for 2nd-year player Demarion Overshown for the Dallas Cowboys. He got hurt in a preseason game against the Seattle Seahawks. But he was having a huge camp last season. And I believe him with Kendricks, with Micah Parsons, and potentially with whoever else they're able to bring in or draft could make a huge impact at their linebacker position. But I definitely think Overshown is gonna make an impact. But for them, they have a lot of holes. They still need a running back. Be on the lookout, I believe, for a player like J.K. Dobbins. That could help them. He does have an injury history, but he's effective when he does play. A.J. Dillon, potentially, depending on his asking price. And in the draft, I do believe that the Dallas Cowboys should try to draft Trey Benson, a dynamic running back. He'll be able to help the Cowboys running game, but we'll see what happens there. They could potentially add another wide receiver too. So Cowboys, they have a lot of holes in their team right now, and they didn't make any moves. No one's surprised about that. Jerry Jones isn't really active in free agency, but I digress on that. So before I close out the video, because we did just talk about really the biggest moves in my opinion, talking about Derrick Henry, Saquon, and all the other players we talked about, I do want to talk about the wide receivers and just other players and positions that I didn't mention. So T. Higgins, he's franchise tagged by the Cincinnati Bengals, but he requested a trade. So it's going to be interesting to see if they honor his trade request. What happens there if things get rocky? What team will potentially trade for him? Because T. Higgins, he is one of the best wide receivers in the league. Obviously, Cincinnati can't pay him how he wants to be compensated because they have to pay Jamar Chase next season. They still have Joe Burrow. They have other positions they have to tend to, and unfortunately, T. Higgins wants out. They haven't revisited contract talks since March of 2023, I believe, and that's why he's mad about that, but that sucks if you're a Bengals fan. I'm sorry. Also, other signings: Michael Pittman Jr. re-signed with the Indianapolis Colts on a 3-year, $70 million deal. Calvin Ridley signed with the Tennessee Titans for 4 years and $92 million. I think it's like 50-something million guaranteed though, so that's a lot. That's all I have to say about that. Darnell Mooney signed with the Atlanta Falcons, 3 years, $39 million. Gabe Davis signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars for 3 years, $39 million. Noah Brown re-signed with the Texans on a 1-year deal. And also other positions: Dalton Schultz re-signed with the Houston Texans on a 3-year, $36 million deal. Hunter Henry signed with the Patriots for 3 years, $27 million. Mike Gesicki signed with the Cincinnati Bengals on a 1-year deal. Jonnu Smith also signed with the Miami Dolphins, which is a sneaky good move, for 2 years and $10 million. Chris Jones, of course, in my opinion, the third most important player on the Kansas City Chiefs after Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, re-signed for a massive 5-year, $158 million deal. I believe like 119 is guaranteed or something like that. Definitely deserved. That extends the Chiefs championship window for sure. I mean, obviously it was always going to be extended with Patrick Mahomes, but defensively they're going to be dominant too with him still in the fold. Christian Wilkins signing a huge deal with the Las Vegas Raiders for 4 years and $110 million. I think 70-something million is guaranteed. Don't quote me on that, but that's a huge deal there. Also, Brian Burns was traded to the New York Giants. Also, Josh Allen for the Jaguars, of course, was franchise tagged Jacksonville Jaguars. Daniel Hunter went to the Houston Texans on a 2-year, $49 million deal. So yeah, that's just a lot of moves, guys. I'm not gonna talk about everybody because that's just too much. I appreciate you guys watching. Always make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SwaggyRuz, and also on TikTok at SwaggyRuz2 for cooking videos, shorts, reels, things of that nature. More videos are on the way, guys. Like I said, we're gonna have a lot of NFL content going forward. Right now, it is the NBA season, so y'all check out my playoff preview videos that I've been making. Stay tuned for the next one on there. But just a beautiful time, guys. I love basketball. I love football. Love making videos and love being on this road to becoming future sports analyst. I appreciate y'all support always. Hope you are being blessed. Know that you can accomplish and do all things. Thank you for your support always. You have a good one.